Welcome to the Pregnancy Loss Podcast, the place I created for moms like us. Pregnancy loss is all-encompassing and creates an overarching theme that runs through our lives forever. We have to learn to live with and beside the grief of losing our baby. We have to learn how to live again, how to parent again, how to engage and interact and be social again, how to communicate effectively to connect with our spouses and significant others. We have to find who we are now. I'm here to empower and inspire you to live a life even with our unique circumstances. We cannot change what happened, but we can grow and use that strength and resilience to create a life that we love. I'm here to share everything I know about grief, motherhood, loss, marriage, friendship, and parenting. I'm here to encourage you to find the beautiful side of grief, the side where we don't have to isolate ourselves or suppress the need to share stories, the side where you have moms just like you to support and encourage you. The side where we become the best versions of ourselves, not in spite of our loss, but thanks to it. Pregnancy loss is devastating, but it can also be an opportunity to reflect on who we were and who we want to become. So join me every Tuesday for a new episode on the Pregnancy Loss Podcast. Let's jump in. Hey mamas, welcome to another episode of the Pregnancy Loss and Motherhood Podcast. I'm so happy you're here this week. We're going to talk about something I don't think I've talked about before, and that we're going to talk about the nitty-gritty stuff. What parts of yourself are you denying after losing a baby? Now, there's a lot that can go into this. I'll kind of talk about my experience and what I've seen. So where are you denying yourselves? What parts of yourself are you denying yourself? We got to confront these things in order to realize what we're doing. I know that when Evelyn died, the first thing I stopped doing was anything that was to take care of myself. It was as if I was punishing myself, as if I was blaming myself, as if it was all my fault that Evelyn died. And what I've discovered recently is that it's always the easiest to stop doing the things that I need compared to everybody else, because I can just drop what I'm doing for myself. But everybody else, it's important that I'm taking care of my kids and getting everybody where they need to go, all this stuff. But me, no, I can be the last resort. And that's just a realization that I've just come to with my Fit Mom method coach I've been working with for the last month. And it's so sad that what we go to as moms is letting ourselves go. And I don't mean that in the we don't care, because deep down we do really care that we're not showering. We can't muster up the energy to shower. We can't muster up the energy to brush our teeth or brush our hair, do our skincare routine. We care so much, but it goes because it's the only thing we have control of at the moment. And for me, it was the depression and the lack of energy that I had. I had no energy after Evelyn died. Even months and years later, I stopped taking care of myself, period. It's going on 5 years in July. And that's why I started working with a coach and stuff, is because it was time that I took that back for myself. I was denying myself any type of self-love, any type of self-care, true self-care. I get my nails done and things like that, but that's not the internal stuff that I needed to be working on. I was denying that to myself because I blamed myself for Evelyn dying, because our wombs are supposed to be the safest place in the world for our babies. It's just always what we've been told. And it's what we feel. Of course, it's my body. Of course, I think that's the safest place that she could have been. But somehow she still died. And after she died as well, most people probably don't know this about me, but I'm an ex-smoker. I smoked for 8 years, from when I was 16 to 24, 23 when I got pregnant with Callie. So I took up smoking after Evelyn died. It was one of those the bad habits that you get into to help you soothe. It was a self-soothe thing for me, an anger thing for me. Just for a few weeks, but it makes you feel worse because you smell and gross. But it was an old habit, but it was easy to come back when I needed it. I can't remember all the horrible conversations that went on in my head, but I was so confused and so mad that, of course, I pointed the finger at myself. It had to be me. I was like the common denominator in all the bad things that were happening at the time. I racked my brain trying to figure out how I allowed my daughter to die, how I didn't know, even though months later, looking back now, I know when she died. How come I didn't go to the doctor sooner? Why didn't I call? The truth is because I didn't think anything was wrong consciously. I think subconsciously I knew something was off, but I didn't really know that babies could die that far along. I always heard about miscarriages, early miscarriages and things like that, but never a baby dying like right before labor starting. So that was like the first and biggest thing that I noticed that I was denying myself was self-love. My self-trust it was shattered. And I mean, how do you go on living? Like, who are you when you can't even trust yourself? It was the whole loss of identity after a baby dies is a huge thing. The next thing that I noticed I was denying myself was intimacy with my husband. I didn't think that I deserved pleasure or him either. Like, I didn't think he deserved it. I mean, we were going through a lot at the time, more than I share yet. But I didn't think he deserved it. So I just kept denying it and denying it and denying it. Intimacy was too hard. It was the act of vulnerability that I just could not open up in that way. And it's something that we worked on with therapy and stuff, but we're still getting through that. I mean, that's just really hard. The next thing, like, are you denying yourself joy, happiness? We just talked about, pleasure with your partner. Are you denying yourself having another baby because you may feel guilty? Are you denying yourself, to watch your favorite shows because it's something you love and you think you don't deserve it? Are you denying the parts of you that need love? Like, are you denying yourself reciprocal love from your partner or spouse or even, family members trying to support you and you don't want them to? Like, there are so many parts and so many things that you don't even notice that you're denying yourself in the midst of loss and grief and mourning. There's a lot of things that took me years to realize that I was still denying myself because I thought that it was my fault Evelyn died. So I just want you to know that whatever you're denying yourself, if you're new, I always preface by saying, if you're new in your grief, don't worry about these things right now. Right now, you need to focus on surviving, getting through the day. Hopefully, you're getting in some sunshine, moving your body a little bit, taking a walk, drinking a bottle of water, and getting sleep. Those are honestly the 4 most important things you can do for yourself right now. Hands down. I will say them every single episode. But these will come later, and we'll talk about it again. Figuring out what parts you're denying. And this is something, too, we'll go over in the workshop, in the membership that I'm creating for you guys. Like, what am I denying myself? And how can I confront these parts and work through it to move forward? Because until you realize that you're denying yourself something, love, happiness, joy, new experiences, whatever you're subconsciously denying yourself, you can't move forward without processing those, okay? And I'm trying to think because I can't remember what gave me the idea for this episode, but it's going to be a short one. This isn't a super long one, but anyways, I think I was listening to a podcast or something and it just gave me this idea, but I hope this gave you just something new to think about. And even if you haven't lost a baby, say you're just going through really hard seasons in your life, like, okay, you're going through a hard season. What does that look like right now? And you can ask yourself, like, what am I denying myself right now in this hard time? Like, just because I'm struggling doesn't mean I can't take out time for myself. just because I'm going through financial hardships doesn't mean I can't do something nice for myself once in a while. Just because my marriage is hard or is struggling right now doesn't mean we won't make it. This is like every human, like, what do we deny ourselves just because we think we're innately bad or, just fractured people? Like, what do we deny ourselves on a daily basis just because we don't think we deserve it? We're not worthy of it. I think this is definitely something to look into for everybody. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's not everybody, but I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll try to dig a little deeper to see what else we can talk about in this. I know that there's more, but it hasn't come to me yet. So I write out all my podcast episodes because it's a blog first, and then I turn it into my podcast. So writing for me is really cathartic, and I'm really great at writing. It's really hard to talk to yourself, like when it's just you. So like in the beginning, I definitely just talked about everything that came to my mind, but I'm trying to really stick to writing and getting as much out as I can. So the next time I'm able to sit down and write more, we'll definitely go over this again. But until then, sorry, my friend, you know me. This is processing for me, so I yawn all the time. One day I won't yawn, and you'll know I'm just 100% healed. I'm just kidding, but I hope you guys have a beautiful week, and I hope wherever you are, there's some sunshine and relief that beautiful weather is coming. I know we're all kind of feeling it right now, how hard things are. So I love you all. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Pregnancy Loss Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I created a guide on 20 ways to celebrate your angel baby. It gives you 20 amazing ways to celebrate their birthdays or ways to just remember them on any given day. If you want to download it, head over to vallenweb.com/resources and click the link. I hope you guys have a great week. See you next time.